Lori Kellner, president of Emerald Creek Group, kicked off the Bauer College Alumni Association's networking breakfast in September, discussing the Greater Houston Partnership and its role in Houston, as well as the importance the University of Houston plays in the community.
A strong Houston is a strong Continental, and a strong Continental will help build a strong Houston. But don't ever think that the business community isn't interrelated with the organizations that make the community work, whether that's the Greater Houston Partnership, or the University of Houston, or Methodist Hospital, the Spring Branch School District, HISD. It all ties together, and if we don't have strong institutions of what you would think about on the nonprofit side, we won't have a strong community. But whether it's volunteering at a Y, whether it's volunteering at the Boy Scouts, whether it's volunteering at U of H, our community and our country doesn't work unless we get integrated around those organizations and we kind of create that value. And I will tell you, it's so much more efficient than trying to do things on a kind of, okay, we're going to contract out and professionalize everything. There's a passion and a care, whether it's your school or whether it's young kids, that is huge, and I think the partnership can play a role in that. When we look around and say, how do we drive Houston, what can we do with the partnership, we always come back to those 5 crown jewels: the airport, the port, the university system, NASA, and the Texas Medical Center, and say, how do we help those institutions and help those groups make a difference? And so we shape policy, or we look at things, we try to have, as we divide up into committees and groups, a very clear set of priorities off of that tie back. So we have a local agenda, we have a state agenda, and we have a federal agenda when it comes to policy. So our focus locally is primarily on good government issues. That means that we have responsive fire service, we have strong police, we have a strong judicial system underneath that. Key priority for us has been, you've seen a lot in the papers about it, how do we get to a regional crime lab? We've had a lot of criticism of the crime lab we've had here in Houston. That's an important part of crime. You've got to have an effective enforcement system. And so while not an issue that most people get up in the morning and think about, important for us because we've had a long history in the city of Houston challenge with crime lab. The other big issue is pensions. We are not out with the policy side. You'll see a lot of people out that are very prescriptive about how we fix the pension problem. But we've said simply, whatever pension benefits we promise people, we need to be paying for in the current year. So we've got a resolution that says we can't have the situation where we're promising a policeman or a firefighter a pension and not even funding what it costs to pay for that pension in the current year and kicking that down the road. So we haven't said let's cut benefits, we haven't said raise taxes, we haven't gotten into the prescriptive piece, but we've been very clear to say it's bad government to have a system where you're promising benefits and you're not even funding the benefits you're paying for, that you don't have a balanced book in that year, that you need actuarially sound pension plans. Sounds kind of technical, but that, the regional crime lab, are really key infrastructure issues. And I know a lot of people think, it seems pretty boring. Gosh, it's, you know, that's the stuff, that's the fiber that makes the community work. And that's on a local side what we're focused at. If you go to the state level, there's where we can play a little more in kind of the crown jewels. Welcome will tell you, we were up there very hard working to make sure on research funding that U of H got its fair share. We were up there with Renew, we were up there with Welcome, we were up there pounding payment. That was one of our 5 legislative priorities. Then you jump up to the federal level. There we're going to work on things like immigration. We need solid immigration policy. We're not afraid to wander into controversial issues. But you know, the reality of the world is, as unpopular as it may be, we have approximately 11 to 12 million people who don't have legal status living in this country. We're not going to just ship them all back to their country of origin. They're going to be here, they're going to be part, and we need comprehensive policy that's thoughtful, that makes sense, that gives people a path to success. I'd far rather educate our population and focus on how we do that, and focus on how we make it productive. We're all for securing our borders and making sure we follow the law, but at the same time, we got to deal with the reality we have. And an awful lot of the rhetoric doesn't want to deal with that. and people are afraid to get up there and testify. So if you looked last year at the United States Congress on immigration hearing, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce wasn't there. Up there testifying with the likes of Michael Bloomberg was Jeff Mosley, CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership. There were 3 people on the panel. Jeff is one of the 3, because we're not afraid to speak out on tough issues that need a rational answer and try to get out of the rhetoric and actually get to policy that works. We're also very focused at the federal level of defending the medical center, because again, you've got huge flow in dollars that go to the medical center, that go to the port, that go to the airport. And so at a federal level, as you look at some of the funding issues for our crown jewels, they become key, especially in this budget pressure. And so we had a whole group, we had about 20 of us up there that spent 2 days in July just working around on the Hill, being on their turf. We have an active interaction with DC because we need to make sure that Texas tax dollars that are paid in and Houston tax dollars that are paid in get back to Houston at our airport, at our port, for our universities. I'd come back from my Continental days and tell you again where I started, that it's really important that we have a strong community. The business community too often gets labeled out there as focused on just its own results, its own earnings, its own current quarter. And we need to make sure we're building a strong community, because we won't have strong businesses without a strong community. And it's really interrelated in how we tie it together. But we also need to be able to educate at a college level a huge piece of our population, and we need an institution with the scale of U of H to do that. When you look at a student size and driver in the community, I stand here as a Rice trustee and tell you, Houston needs U of H to be hugely successful. And we will work very hard to make that happen. And so when we go to the legislature, we talk about all 5 of the big, what we think of as the big 5 universities that build the system. We know U of H and Rice are the anchors, and U of H is the one that's going to train our workforce, going to give us the economic development we need, and we clearly need that.